Right, so day 3 of moving out and moving in. I put some more books in the bookcase. Fun stuff. Just getting right to it. See, tomorrow I work and on Sunday I work, so I'm not gonna be able to come here unless I decide to come up here at nighttime, but I think I'll be a little too tired by then. So maybe Monday I'll come back. Probably likely, actually. So we got some books in here, and we got some books in here, some random assortment. So another Toscan book is in here. We're gonna actually get that out first. I actually haven't even opened this one yet. It's the Marvel Age of Comics 61 to 78. This is a massive book. This is a massive Toscan book. And as you can see there, the Beatles recording sessions by Mark Lewisohn has been added. I've had that book for years. And unfortunately it was a softcover edition, though I think at the time when I bought it, which was in 2008, the hardcover edition was either hard to find or it was unavailable or it cost too much now. We also got some comic collections in here. Those are also soft covers, paperbacks. So I think I'm going to, actually I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the Beatles out, and I'm gonna take these two smaller books out too. I think what I'll do is I'll put the hardcovers on this shelf and the soft covers, so there's a little bit of consistency. Now, because I'm here, I can kind of organize this stuff to my liking. Like, I'm in no hurry, honestly. Although I think I'll leave the Animator's Survival Kit down here because that's just so big. In fact, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take Spider-Verse and put it like at the end. I don't know, because you got this thing here, you can't just easily pull the book out. It's a little bit frustrating. Maybe what I'll do is, I might get one of those, what do they call those things? Those bookend things. Maybe I just answered my own question by saying that, I think they're just called bookends, like at the library when they put them at the end of the line of books and then that at the other end. Maybe I'll get 2 of those so that it stops them before they hit this area right here, because as you can see, there's a lot of space there. So if I were to pull out the Illusion of Life, do this carefully, it would still be blocked by that. So I'm gonna have to mull that over. So I'm just gonna keep like the hardcovers, the art of books and all that good stuff. Tall books too, because the shelves above are not conducive to some of these taller books, like the Mark Davis one and this Toscan Marvel one that I just put in here. That's how it's pronounced, right? Is it Toscan or is it Toscan? I think it's Toscan. Oh well, potato, I guess. I mean, I'll tell you a funny story. I work in a movie theater, and when that movie Annihilation came out, the one with Natalie Portman, I remember I had like a couple of customers, they came in, they unironically pronounced that word wrong. Like I heard things like annihilation, like, I guess if you've never heard the word annihilation before, and I'm going on a tangent, but hey, this is Kyle O 101. I go on tangents like all the time. In fact, I was going to go on a tangent about something else, but I completely forgot what it was supposed to be. So it goes. I'm gonna get some hardcovers out of here. This is a fantastic book, by the way. This is classic album covers of the 60s. In fact, we got some time. I'll pop it open and show you a little bit of it. Like, just full page spreads of all the great album covers of the 60s. Saucer full of secrets there. It introduced me to a lot of artists that I hadn't even heard of before. It's just, you could just get lost. Like if you don't have the LPs of these albums, you just get lost. Like these are just about the size of LPs. You could just get lost looking at this stuff. It's just exemplary. And then you got these sorts of spreads here. This was compiled by Storm Thurgeson. I want to say Storm Thurgeson is he was an album cover designer. Oh wow, that is such a long coffee table book that it barely. That's like longer than the Spider-Verse book. This was given to me by somebody who was related to like one of my step uncles. It just he knew that I was really into music from still am. Why did I say was? Is into music from the 60s and the 70s. So he found this book and gave it to me. It was very, very nice of him. He was also my history teacher in high school. So yeah, it all lined up nicely. In fact, I'm gonna put this Goliath book here, this Galactus-sized tome. It's just a great book to get lost in, just absolutely lost in. So I'm gonna put those there. We have another art of book, but this time it's for a video game. It's for Epic Mickey. Confession, I have never played Epic Mickey. I didn't have a Wii. I think it was only for the Wii when I first got it. I had a Wii U, but I didn't have a Wii. I never played Epic Mickey, and I gotta check and see if it's like available as like a virtual shop. I don't think it is. Probably a dumb question I asked there, but I've always wanted to check it out. Just the whole idea of marrying classic Mickey Mouse to, you know, like sort of weird and twisted like horror stuff. Like, yeah, because that's the way Mickey Mouse used to be. You know, if you follow me on Twitter or if you've read my other ramblings about animation, you'll know that I'm like an ardent defender of classic Mickey Mouse cartoons, particularly the ones made before World War II. It's like, yeah, those were good stuff, man. Those were good stuff. And apparently Epic Mickey really honors that. And then we got another Disney hardcover here. This is Disney A to Z by the late Dave Smith. 3rd edition. Just a whole truck ton of facts in that book. All right, so I'm gonna start organizing these and I'll show you the rest of the books that I'm unloading. All right, so I got some more organizing done here. Some of my soft covers I had to put down here though, particularly these Tintin books. Yeah, I actually have some Adventures of Tintin comics. If you know who Tintin is. Tintin is a long-running Franco-Belgian comic. Steven Spielberg not too long ago adapted it into a mocap animated movie, which I really, really liked. My uncle got me these Tintin books a long time ago, like back in 2004, going into 2005. I'll tell you a funny story about how I an American, got acquainted to the Tintin stories back in the early 2000s. So I went through a phase in the early 2000s where, like around like 2003, 2004, where I read the funnies, like the newspaper comic strips, all the time. And one of my favorite comics was Get Fuzzy. If you've never seen Get Fuzzy before, I'll show you an example. These are the collections of the comic strips. This is the cover of the Loser Palooza collection. I want to say that the strips in Loser Palooza are from like 2003 to 2004, maybe 2005. But I always loved, and it had the Sunday strips in full color. The regular releases had them all in black and white, but these books, which were the treasuries, they had them in full color. And I just, like, you know, I said it all the time, I got lost in these books. I got lost in those comics. I'm just gonna put this here for 1 second while I put it back. It's kind of weird to film it like this. I know I'm not filming with actual film. This is not being filmed on 35 millimeter or anything like that. So they frequently made references to Tintin in Get Fuzzy, along with a ton of other things that I had never heard of before. Like, I want to say Get Fuzzy also, I'll show you like one of the smaller ones. Like this one is Blueprint for Disaster. As you can see, the Sunday strips are in black and white in Blueprint for Disaster. Back in the day when they released these treasuries, like what they would do is they'd release the shorter, like The Dog Is Not a Toy, the Get Fuzzy Experience, Blueprint for Disaster, like they'd release those, and then the treasuries would combine like 2 books. So Groovitude right here, which was released in 2002, I want to say, that collected all the strips in The Dog Is Not a Toy, and Fuzzy Logic. I do not have Fuzzy Logic. Get Fuzzy Experience and Blueprint for Disaster, I believe, are collected in a book called Bucky Cat's Big Book of Fun. I mean, I'm totally blank right. I'm just like trying to pull it from memory. Maybe there's a Get Fuzzy fan watching this video who knows way more than I do. So I think I talked a little much about Get Fuzzy. Now, I also have a Far Side collection. Of course, Far Side by Gary Larson, one of the all-time great comic strips. In fact, here I go about Get Fuzzy again. In the intro to Groovitude, Get Fuzzy creator Darby Conley talks about what it's like making comic strips, and one of the sentences is that a plane? Yeah, I think it is. He talked about in the opening passages, like, this is, he kind of goes over how he came up with Get Fuzzy, and he said, there are 2 kinds of cartoonists in the world. Like, there's ones that expressly rip off the Far Side, and then there are ones who try not to rip off the Far Side, but they end up ripping off the Far Side. Moving on from the comic collections, here is Bob Thomas's Disney's Art of Animation, and you could tell that this book is a lot older because from Mickey Mouse to Beauty and the Beast. Of course, Beauty and the Beast was released in 1991, so this is kind of a vintage book for me. I have more vintage animation books coming up that are not here yet. Like, I have The Art of Walt Disney by Christopher Finch, which was written in 1975. That was when The Rescuers was in production. In fact, I think the book even mentions that at the end, like, upcoming is The Rescuers, and tentatively scheduled for next year or whatever. And we got these same 2 animation how-to books here, and then I put the Vault of Walt down there. There's another Toscan Marvel book here too. That's Myths and Legends. This is a much smaller. Actually, no, this is a DK book. Not a Toscan book, it's a DK book. So yeah, that's my bookshelf situation as of today. Just progress little by little. So what else do I got to do? Well, I brought a whole bunch of stuff with me. Collectibles. You might have seen these shelves in my sort of kind of ASMR like overview of my Disney VHS Beta Laserdisc collection, and got a bunch of other collectibles in here too, including the rest of the Funko Pops. I think I'm going to allocate the Funko Pops that were in here to this thing for now though, because it's all about organizing at the moment. And there is a bunch of collectible / toy / fun stuff in here. So now I just, got to put together the rest because the whole thing was too tall to fit into my car. So I'm just gonna make this, and then I'm gonna put as much of the Funko Pops in here as I can. And then I'll probably like stack the rest on top, because that's what's so great about keeping the Funkos in their boxes. Like, they'll stay intact, and they're stackable, and that's like super duper convenient if you think about it, eh? Let me see. All right, so success. All the Funko Pops are in this waffle bookcase. Even got some little ones here too that I got a couple years ago. So yeah, they all fit nicely, with the exception of one regular size pop, which I put up here. Okay. And then the rest of them are the yeah, I mean, it's as big as it, but it's different, of course, because it's a wider character. The rest are in bigger boxes. So they all fit nicely. And the good news is I can take this back to my place. And in here, there's no more Funko Pops in there. And here is all the other stuff that I brought here today. So I put it all in storage. You can kind of make out what it is. It's Amiibos and Disney Infinity figures and Bunkles. There's also a Beatles pin. That should be in here. Actually, this is like a little mini record crate that came out around the time the Beatles albums were remastered in 2009. You can kind of make out the logo there. That's a Pac-Man display, some Beatles glassware. You'll see all that stuff when I unpack it and organize it. We're not going to do that today, of course, because I don't have the shelves that those are meant for, and the tables and desks that these are all meant for. So we're gonna put a lid on it for the time being. And again, we could take these two home as well. So yeah, a lot of strategizing. Let me show you the bookcase so far. Yeah, so I unloaded more, like I have a bunch of other comics and stuff, like this Mutts compilation, Hot Dogs, Hot Cats. That's a reference to the Frank Zappa album Hot Rats, like the cover and everything. It's literally the album cover of Hot Rats, but with the characters from Mutts in the drained in-ground pool. Instead of, I forget the name of the woman, but she was from a group called the GTOs. She's on the original album cover. Got Stray Dogs, which Paramount was supposed to turn into an animated movie. I'm not sure what's going on with that. It's also this comic I started reading. They're both on Image, by the way, Snot Girl. It's pretty cool stuff. And then there's Bubble, which Sony Animation said that they would turn into a movie. Apparently it was a podcast first, and they turned it into a comic. And then these are some sealed, like Image, Marvel, and DC. This DC comic actually belonged to my dad back in the 70s, and he found it and he gave it to me, which I thought was pretty cool. Malibu, yeah, like there's all different. They're all in like the original bags and such. It's they're more collectibles than they are reading, but I have them up there anyways, so maybe I'll move them to the trinket / knick-knack shelf. But yeah, I think this is just the perfect place to put all the books instead of using the bookshelf that I had downstairs. But we still have a ways to go. The final major event will be all the furniture being moved and all the TVs and such, all the stuff I need for my studio. I'm gonna take all my tech that day too, or around that time, so everything's just ready in one go. Once I'm moved in, I have like everything I need. So I don't think I'm even close to halfway done, but it doesn't matter because I'm fully in this place by the end of February, by the end of next month. It's like right around the corner, so. And I still gotta think about what I'm gonna put in these drawers. Like, these are vintage. Got locks on them, like old style locks on them and everything. Like, you know, the funny thing about this place is apparently this house was like built, I want to say like in the 1890s, maybe a little after, and it looks it too. Like it's just very vintage. And again, the hardwood floors and just the way everything looks. Again, the sort of glass, almost like gemstone doorknobs. Again, like pull string lights and big light bulbs, and this sort of design architecture. It's like, again, it's just, to me, it's very, very appealing. Like even these columns, that's just so cool to me. Like it adds like flourish to the place. It adds character. I know in previous videos and such, and many other things I've written about, I never really talked about like interior design, interior decoration and whatnot, but I've always had, I want to think I've always had an eye for it. I mean, when I make comics and when I draw like my characters and such in environments, I do a lot of layouts, and of course I study animated films. I mean, why do you think I love Disney movies so much? It's because of the artistry, you know, and so much to, chew on, so much to look at. I'm just sort of touring the different rooms again, but this is just so much to chew on. Like again, this metal handle, like it's literally doorknob from Alice in Wonderland vibes. Quite impossible. No, impassable. Some shelf space up here. I just think this is so cool. It's like super narrow. This place actually reminds me of where my father used to live. He used to live in a house that was built in 1919, and a lot of the architecture was the same. Like for many years, he still kept the wood panel walls and the sort of mustard yellow countertops. Like it was like stepping into the 70s. even though I'm a 90s child, I sort of grew up with 70s and 80s aesthetics between my father's house and by extension my paternal grandparents' place and my maternal grandparents' place. A lot of their furniture and tiling and architecture, that was all from like the mid 80s when they first got that house. So I've always had a thing for vintage and things older than I am, and that's pretty much why I gravitated towards like Disney VHS collecting and record collecting, and also because I love the stuff within, you know. I'm not just somebody who collects the stuff. You should know that by now if you've been following me for so long, but you know. But yeah, like in this new place, since it's all me, like I'll have everything I need and everything at my disposal, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. There's still more stuff to come, and I'm rambling at this point, but I just can't get over how much I'm really loving this place. I haven't even fully moved in yet. All right, so I think that's it for today's moving vlog. Thanks for watching as always, and yeah, I'll probably resume operations on Monday. So yeah, thanks for watching. This is Kylo heading out. Arrivederci.